There went. All right, let's go. Experts throughout the developed world have debated whether isolated regions are allowed to be explored. We have should be allowed to be explored for scientific research and tourism, I think would sound better there. Despite technological advancements, making these areas accessible, or despite technological advancements that make these areas accessible, personally, I hold a concert on this. No, we can't say concert. Personally, despite making so we should say despite technological advances making these areas accessible. Full stop. And personally, I believe the advantages, such as tourism revenues, far outweigh any of the disadvantages. For example, that's what I would have put there, or something similar, because the problem with this sentence is it's empty. I could put that into a sentence, into an essay about any topic. So be careful of those empty sentences. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that shows that travelling to prohibited areas such as Antarctica is no longer unreal, thanks to advanced travelling equipment and facilities. This development intrigues the exploring aspiration. Okay, I tone it down a little bit on the fancy words and just go for clarity. Okay, this development intrigues the exploring aspiration. We could say this development makes exploring more intriguing. If the central reason behind this is twofold. Okay. It's fine. Firstly, it provides scientists and paleontologists the opportunity, beautiful there, paleontologists, to make new scientific discoveries. Being exposed in unspoiled lands makes it possible for experts in various fields to reveal secrets, spelling, and mysteries of nature. Beautiful. For example, a dinosaur fossil was excavated in Argentina near the Antarctica region, which is a significant finding of the prehistorical giant species, covering the factors of dinosaurs' extinction. Beautiful. Secondly, the unique landscapes of the desolated areas fascinate individuals to take adventures. For example, every year thousands of experts and amateur mountain climbers assemble on the Himalayas campsites, attempting to conquer Mount Everest, which is the highest peak on the Earth. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that exploring extremely remote places is a driving force for human beings to discover the unknown. Excellent. On the other hand, the impact of human activities on the vulnerable environment should not be overlooked. This is due to the undeniable fact that the increase in population landing in these distant regions always contributes, be careful, hedging, usually always contributes to the deterioration of the local ecosystems. With the growing demand for constructing tourist infrastructure, suitable accommodation and travelling routes, it has led to the loss. With the growing demand for constructing tourist infrastructure, suitable accommodation and travelling routes. So we've got it here, which is singular, and we've got three reasons. These have often led to the loss of habitats and pollution of water resources. Excellent. For instance, the Pacific island called, I don't think we need capitalization on these. For example, the Pacific island called Galapagos, once completely isolated, has turned into a popular tourist destination consistent with the tourist development within the region. However, good. A report conducted by the WWF indicated that with an average of over 6 billion tons of waste generated by the tourists, numerous rare birds are on the brink of extinction, including the most famous Galapagos finches studied by Charles Darwin. Beautiful, excellent there. Thus, it is possible to state beyond doubt that the human influence may lead to an irreversible damaging. So we've got a gerund here, should be followed by of, damaging of the unspoiled environment. Or even damaging of the once unspoiled environment. Great. In conclusion, from the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that humans' expansion to inaccessible destinations should be limited to a sustainable framework. Despite this, although it may help with new scientific findings and gain a sense of personal and offer a sense of personal achievement for adventurers, these advantages are outweighed by the disadvantages of the ecosystem deteriorating. All right, let me find the picture category. Island. Okay. So, I mean, what I would do here is just pick out the biggest ones from each category. Those are the winners. So here, it's tricky, isn't it? So I think the biggest, so food and drinks, Turkey spends the most. Clothing and footwear, Italy spends the most. And education, no, Sweden spends the most. Interesting. Okay, so those are the, we've got to mention those points. Now, who spends the minimum in both? So let's see, Sweden spends the most in food and drink. Spends the least food and drink. Sweden also spends the least in clothing and footwear. Who spends the least in education? Spain. So those points we've definitely got to include the 6 points I just mentioned. Now, what could we say for groups? Okay, so we could say, I could say that that's a nice group. Okay, there's 2 countries that spend roughly a third on food and drink. There's only 1 country, yeah, so that's definitely going to go together. We could say that this is roughly double the next 2, Italy and Sweden. Spain is probably roughly in the middle. And then another interesting point, I think, is there's less difference with leisure and education, with most countries spending roughly between 2 and just over 4%, between 2 and roughly 4%. Okay, we could even say it's double, but again, interestingly, Spain lies pretty much in the middle. And maybe we could say, okay, I mean, those would be the data points that I would definitely include. So let's go. The table demonstrates the percentage of 3 types of daily life expenditure in 5 European countries in 2002 in Ireland, Italy, Spain, Sweden, and Turkey. Good. Overall, food and drink tobacco remains the biggest, highest, as you heard me say, highest of the daily expenses, while leisure and education account for the least in a financial budget. Okay, according to the statistics given, Turkey presents largest consumption of food, drink, and tobacco with 32.4%. I'd say with just over 30%, along with, Italy, along with Ireland. This exceeded, closely followed by Ireland at 29, or whatever it was. This exceeded the second largest consumption country, Ireland, by nearly 5%. Okay, so it's got to be around 27%. Exceeded it. Ah, no. Okay, so I would have probably said 4%. So be careful with these. Oh, nearly 5%. So 29. I don't think that mathematic adds up there. So it's not even 5%, I don't think. Yeah, I would put that at, let's see, 29, 3, at just over 3%, or even nearly 4%. Anyway, it was about 2 times the amount of food expenditure in Sweden and Italy, which had the least proportion of 15. And beautiful, beautiful fancy statement there, fancy sentence. Comparison, excellent little transition. Italy overwhelmed. I would have said exceeded the other 4 countries with the largest proportion of 9% expenditure on clothing and footwear. Beautiful. While another great little transition, while the other countries shared a relatively similar percentage of 6% on purchasing clothes and shoes. Meanwhile, the amount of money spent on leisure and education was the lowest daily expenditure. Great. Okay, just be careful. I think we've already said that. Okay, no, we didn't. All right, meanwhile, the money spent on leisure and education was the lowest daily expenditure for every group, for every country in the chat. Although Turkey made up the largest proportion of opens into the country stood at under 3.22% level. Was Turkey? Oh yeah, Turkey was the largest one. So my error at the beginning. Great work there, Wen. Excellent. And yeah, looking forward to the class tomorrow. Have a super day, and we can talk about and for the test. All the best. Turn around with this feedback.